opponents. So it looks like our next match is going to be Gemini versus Dine. But before we jump into that game, I do want to remind you real quickly about our sponsor, MythLogic. They are really cool. They've been putting up a lot of money to make this tournament go. All the prizes are being provided by them, and they've just been all-around great guys to work with. We really appreciate their contribution. They are a company that creates custom gaming rigs. You can get either laptops or desktops from them. They do not have them boxed up and on shelves. They make them as you order them, and they are just really all-around cool dudes, very helpful, and really just looking to serve people and make sure that they get to the product that they want to get. So definitely check them out. That's mythlogic.com and on Twitter at mythlogic.
And before we jump in too far here, I just want to remind everyone of our giveaway.
Yeah.
As I type that in there. So we have given away one code already, and Gallegation, I think we should throw everyone a bone for coming out to watch us tonight and give them that first code once again. Give everyone who wasn't around for that first entry a chance to get in. We will be giving away 2 codes this evening for the Corsair prizes. So far left is a gaming mouse and a mechanical keyboard. Gaming mouse will be given away, can't remember the exact date, but I believe it's next week.
That sounds right, yeah.
And the keyboard will be given away after the finals here in a few weeks. So when you go to SC2CTL.com/giveaway or click the link that is in chat right there and enter the code Reddit. There's been a lot of buzz about SC2CTL on Reddit this week, so in honor of that, we are offering that up as a code. This is the first code of the evening. We will be giving away another one. And if you like the Facebook pages listed on that page, you will get an additional entry for every like that you give. So if you like all 3 of them already, you have already gotten your extra entry. So when you put in that code, you will get 4 entries into the giveaway. And if you don't win the mouse, you will still be in the running for the keyboard.
Yep, and I think it's important to reiterate that if you like those pages, it's not just the first time that you like them that you get that entry. You get additional entries every time you enter in a code. So that can really maximize your number of entries. Just to remind you all, this is SC2CTL, and we are your hosts at Gallegation and at WingnutSC.
And we are jumping into game number 5 on King Sejong Station LE. On the bottom right-ish side of the map, representing Terran and Team Killing Spree. At a deficit of 1-3, it is Dine.
And in the top left-hand corner, representing Team Integrity Gaming, it is Gemini. We do have a little bit of information about Gemini that I can share with you real quickly. He's got a Twitter. It is ggemini19, and also a Twitch channel, Gemini SCTV. He started playing StarCraft at the end of the Wings of Liberty beta, and started as a Masters player, has consistently performed, and recently drastically improved. He is planning on getting Grandmaster here pretty soon. He plays quite frequently at local New York City LANs and has won 5th at Cybercraft LAN, has won Gosu Pizza and Zeke weekly tournaments, and he considers his style as being macro and likes to emulate builds popular with the Koreans, except within PvP where he favors aggression in mind games. He considers Hero to be his major influence.
So we may see some hero builds this evening, but I'm sure, as we mentioned earlier, these players are, the majority of which in Grandmaster League, so they will probably having a flavor of the builds of their own. Looks like Gemini is going to be building his buildings here quite close and safe to his base with a gateway coming down and a extractor. After seeing a lot of Zerg, it almost seems weird to see other races in this game.
Wait, there's other races besides Zerg in this game?
Well, according to you, I'm not sure, but...
What are these little humanoid things?
Yes, so we're going to see a Terran and a Protoss in this game. As we mentioned, this is match point for Integrity Gaming with a score of 3-1. So one more win and it will wrap up this best of 7, but if Team Killing Spree can come back and take another one, we will go on to a game number 6. So we will see. We will see.
That's right, we will, but no pressure, Dine. No pressure at all. Probe coming in to do a little bit of aggravating moves against that SCV building a factory. That's a fairly early factory, as it went down just about as soon as it could.
Yeah, it's an interesting PVT we've seen so far this season. Twice so far we've seen simultaneous proxy factory and stargates. And that has actually gone 1 for Protoss and 1 for Terran. So
Yeah, those were interesting. You don't often get games where both players are like, you know what, I'm gonna cheese.
at the same exact time, and neither of them know about it until it's too late.
in almost like mirrored positions. It was kind of interesting.
Yep. But looks like Warp Gate's gonna be not coming down here as I thought. That would certainly be a thing we saw, but a expansion is indeed coming down for Gemini, so he's opting for the early expand route as Mothership Core comes out, chases away that SCV. If we don't see Warp Gate here pretty soon, we may see a bit of a transition into Stargate, but also he's not mining a ton of gas. But obviously not in a huge rush to get those gateway units out, as the gateway is idle and Warp Gate is idle as well. Now a Stalker being Corona boosted as the Stargate is about to finish up for Terran.
As Starport, I think you mean, and that's the one of each. We like to call this the HOTS 111. There is a mine coming out of that factory. 2 Marines have been just coming out here, so there is going to be a medevac coming out of the Starport here fairly quickly, and they will be picking up that mine and those Marines to do a drop on his opponent's base.
It looks like Gemini may be reading this a little bit, as he does have the Robo coming down, so he is going to be able to get an Observer if he sniffs it out appropriately, and based on the timing of this, he should be able to have that Observer out in plenty enough time to defend against any mine shenanigans.
That's right, but a single Hellion is moving in from Dyne into his opponent's base. Does get one shut off on Gemini's probe there, but only shield damage taken, no harm, no foul. And Mothership Core does shove that Hellion down the bottom there.
There's a full medevac here with the mine and 6 Marines, so he's definitely going to go across and try and get some damage done with this, although there is an Observer out here for Gemini. So given the proper positioning, he should be able to detect that mine, but that doesn't mean it's not going to get any damage done.
That's right, and I think that if it could be interesting to see how Dyne wants to play this. He could leave the mine in one location, take the Marines somewhere else. We've seen that a few times, or he can just kind of put all his eggs in one basket and attack in a singular position. But it looks like that medevac is going to be heading in now, and so we will see what happens here.
Hellion's actually harassing the natural expansion as well at the same time, so that Observer was there, but Photon Overcharge does go down in the main. 1 Marine is going to lose its life, but the medevac is going to get away. Overall, there were 4 drones killed. I'm sorry, 4 probes killed by Dyne, and he still has all of his units left. Although it is flying over a bunch of Stalkers, he's dropping the Marines out in a very sporadic pattern. The mine does get burrowed. There are 2 Observers, but it does get a shot off on all the probes. So he is going to...
That's a total of 8 kills there for that mine.
That is up to a total of 12 probe kills now for Dyne, so he is definitely sitting pretty where he wants to be right now.
Yeah, that is definitely not how you want that to go, sitting as Gemini there. You know, it looked like he was trying to get his probes out of there, but they all kind of bunched up and not quite out of range.
At the same time, now 3 Stalkers are going to move into the main base of Dyne. Did delay the command center that was going down at the natural expansion. Hellions and Marauders popping out. The Marauder going to be able to push away the Stalkers fairly efficiently here, as there is a SCV that's just wearing the hero hat. If we're naming brave workers, he certainly deserves a name as well, as he does valiantly try to go back to building after poking away at those Stalkers.
Yep. So in memorandum. But Marauder is on the map trying to do some damage there, barely holding onto his life. Hellion's also trying to do the job, and these Stalkers kind of need to get their act together or they're going to get taken out.
And there was a bit more poking back in the main base of Gemini, which was forced off by a Photon Overcharge as well. The Observer of Gemini is there with those Stalkers as well to deal with any mines. There is continuing to be a mine in the natural expansion of Dyne. Looks like he knows that's there, as he's trying to keep his probes on the left side, parking one right over the top of the mine to be bait, so to speak.
Yeah, it seems like he's had a hard time controlling that. He did keep a couple of idle workers just standing over the mine, losing more workers than he needed to necessarily on a few of those shots. And then just now just kind of idling his workers while trying to get things on top of it. But it looks like he's tired of dealing with that, does take it out. That is the end of that. While in the meantime, these 3 Stalkers still continue to be a headache for Dyne, as they are continuing to do some damage at the front.
Worker kills are 17-3 in favor of Dyne, so that is definitely a big impact. However, the worker counts are exactly equal right now, 34, now 35.
Hellions are in the main, or going into the main base. There's a great force field there that kept them out from the back, but it looks like they are finally going to be able to get back there now. Hellions moving forward are able to take one out, but more shots going off on these drone, or probes rather. We keep saying drones, so many Zerg
so
matches.
Many Zerg. Those two Hellions did just barely make it out with their lives, only 6 HP on one and 20 on the other, so they could go back home and get repaired if they so choose, but now Gemini working on chrono boosting out probes. However, he is supply block, so he's going to have to put down some more pylons before he can do that, but I don't think he's noticed yet, as there are no pylons coming out. Now one is going to come down at the natural expansion, so a supply block there for a decent bit of time is going to impact his probe production. Worker count now starting to skew in favor of Dyne, 43 to 38, if you notice down here in the bottom of the panel showing the worker and army count, which is a handy little tool. Also, the mules are a factor for TKS Dyne, with his income a decent bit higher than his opponent at 1,300 versus 1,100.
Dyne now moving into the classic MMM build, getting that stim pack, getting the combat shield, and his +1 upgrade on those ground units. So that those numbers are going to continue to grow, putting down some front defensive units here. It looks like he's hunkering down, happy with the aggression that he's put on in this game thus far.
He's definitely defending himself quite well here with these 3 bunkers, and knowing that mostly Stalkers coming out of his opponent is kind of leaning heavily on the Marauders, with a lot of upgrades coming out. +1 attack is about to finish, as well as shields for the Marines, as Gemini is getting a wind in his shorts that's telling him to move across the field to do a push, but there's an observer there seeing that Reaper come out. Reaper is going to maybe scout the beginning part of this push from Gemini, so he's going to know what's coming.
Well, Gemini, it looks like he was kind of hiding some of those units off. I'm not sure how much that Reaper was actually able to see of what's kind of formulating here at the front. And sure enough, it looks like one of these medevacs has filled up with all Marauders. There's really not a whole lot left at the front here to kind of make a whole lot of defense.
Poorly informed in chat says they should change the name of Marauders to Pults. But Gemini is going to be moving up the ramp here. Nice force fields to keep those SCVs back from the bunkers. Bunkers go down fairly quickly with those Marauders. Force fields still holding back a lot of the units of Dyne.
Yeah, and that was a lot of damage there, but a lot of damage taken as well, as Gemini is kind of limping away without any Stalkers remaining, and 2 Immortals did save the majority of those sentries, though. So that will be in his favor the next time he decides to move out.
Reaper down at the 3rd base of Gemini did deny a base going down there. A Marauder drop here. 4 Marauders are poking away at the Stalkers in the main base of Gemini as well. Zealot goes down and 1 Stalker remains. These Marauders are going to be doing a lot of damage to those. Going to be taking out some infrastructure here, as this is a bit of a Artosis pylon here going down, so all the gateways will be unpowered for the moment.
That's right, and those medevacs are going to, I'm sorry, that medevac's going to want to take those Marauders somewhere else.
Oh, did you see that pylon deny with dropping the Marauder right on top of the...
And this has been some really cool control for Dyne. He was able to hold off that push and deal with this as well. Great time to boost there.
Yeah.
Woo!
It looks like he's doing a juke right back into the base almost there. I thought he was going to kind of go out and come right back, faking. Oh, it looks like he is now faking that he's going to go down to the natural expansion, drawing the army of Gemini down there, but he's still just kind of hanging out in the back as the rest of his army is moving out in the front. There are 1 Colossus, sentries, and 2 Immortals, so this is going to be a tough army for Gemini to, for Dyne to move into, even though he doesn't have a lot.
Yeah, but he's continuing to resupply here, and he's, I think, going to be able to bait the army down by moving in with his main force, and then, sure enough, the he's going to do the opposite of that, as the Marauders are going down. Oh, but medevac does get taken out.
I thought for sure he was going to go and try and take out the research of the extended thermal lances, but that does finish, and Dyne does push up into the natural base, but the force field's holding him back. Nice mine shots there on those sentries, taking out the majority of them, and now able to stim up and take out the Zealots. There are still 2 Colossus here doing a lot of damage to this Bioforce.
That's right. Mine shot does go off, takes out 1 Stalker, and does heavily wound the other one, as Gemini trying to get some damage done with these Colossus.
That
but
Colossus
Dyne,
definitely saying, oh, that was smart, as it walks right over a mine and soaks up a shot.
Yeah, Dyne being very calculating here with his aggression, and Gemini kind of on the back foot, it seems.
And more Colossus in production, as well as +1 attack. Twilight Council coming down as well. likely to be moving into either Blink or Zealot Charge. I don't really see Storm really having a chance to get out at this point, as the pressure of dying is about to ramp up here. But if this Colossus count can continue to grow, I don't know, it could go either way.
That's right. Dine is getting Vikings, however. He's adding those into the mix to try and offset that Colossus number. He does have a medevac full of Marauders on its way around to try and do another one of those drops, as the first one was fairly effective. Looks like Gemini learned from his first mistake with that pylon. Does have 2 more powering the same buildings, but those Marauders are going to be dropping in, doing more damage.
Looks like that Twilight Council indeed for Zealot Charge, and to be able to start those +2 armor upgrades, as +1/+1 is about to finish here as... I'm sorry, +2/+2 is about to finish as Dine is pushing in, so this is going to be a pretty impressive attack here with a pretty big upgrade advantage.
That's right, and Dine, you know, just really playing this well. Poor Gemini is just really taking the bait of those medevacs, or the medevac drops with the Marauders, and he kind of has to, as his main nexus is heavily damaged. He doesn't want to lose that at this point. But defending on 2 fronts is never easy, and Gemini doing the best he can at the moment.
It's like a single Marauder drop, double Marauder drop in the main base is going down. That Mech 6 is about to die. A Hero Marauder takes it out right before it does meet its own death. So that is going to definitely put a pinch onto Gemini, as that Marauder does land again and is continuing to do damage against the Zealot while the Mothership Core pokes away at it. Not really getting much done as the medevac is continuing to heal it. Big engagement down here at the natural expansion. Dine pushing on in. Mines go down, taking some shots at the front of Gemini's army.
That's right, and these green healing waves definitely keeping a lot of this army continuing to stay alive. The Vikings doing their duty, and there's the GG.
That's definitely a new one. I like that description. The green healing waves. The waves of healing are happening.
I mean, that one Marauder is just like, yep, keep hitting me, probes. I really don't care.
Give me your best shot.
To me. Right.
Well, being match point for Integrity Gaming, Team Killing Spree does come back to win another game, so that is going to bring the score 3-2. So their life in this team match here does continue on into a game number 6.
That is correct.
So, Delegation, what do you think? I mean, obviously, you know, Gemini tried to be aggressive there in the beginning, but Dine, I mean, it was pretty relentless. I mean, what do you think was the most important push for him that gave him the biggest leg up?
Well, I don't know if it's specifically a push, but I feel like those continued Marauder drops were incredibly effective. Yeah. Not only in doing infrastructure damage, but also making Gemini's army kind of zigzag back and forth, trying to defend the front of the natural base, and then also defend what was going on in the back. One has to wonder if, you know, even just any type of static defense maybe could have helped offset some of that damage that those Marauders were doing. However, Marauders are good against those types of things, typically.
Gemini in chat giving insight of his own. He says, usually the Stalker pressure follow-up after a mine drop kills them. However, he did a really weird follow-up with the concussive shell. Yep.
So there you have it from the horse's mouth.
Absolutely. So with that is going to put our score at 3-2 after game.